Hi, I'm John Fitzgerald and welcome to this week's edition of Team WealthBuilders, and let me talk about the economy and such big things that have happened in July and August 2012. It really is amazing. Now, I want to talk to you about what's happening behind the scenes, but really the big one is house prices now on the move. In the quarter, that is the quarter April, May, June, house prices rising by over 1.5%, nearly 1.5%, annualised to probably nearly 6% per annum. On the Gold Coast, 2.5% in that particular quarter, annualising to over 10% per annum. Now, what does it mean? Well, it's a turning point. And it's an interesting turning point because the turning point happened before the interest rate cuts. Remember, in May and June, the Reserve Bank cut interest rates by 0.75%. Banks began to pass that on, certainly in the variable rates, but in the fixed rates, they didn't really begin to pass it on until July and certainly August. And now a lot of banks following suit with 3-year fixed rates at 5.5% around percent. Very, very interesting. But behind the scenes, there's some real movement in the money markets. And this is probably what interests me more than anything else. That is, foreign banks starting to lend into this country, particularly the American banks. Now, we haven't seen this since the GFC. American banks now lending money into the Australian market. And the Japanese banks lending into the Australian market in a huge way, nearly $22 billion in the last year, but syndicated loans in the last just quarter to 6 months of many billions of dollars. And this is just a touch of it. And why it's interesting is that I had a Japanese representative group in my office just in the last week talking about how they want to invest and get their money into Australia and what the philosophy is behind that. The philosophy is in Japan, population circa 120, 130 million, that they're going to lose around 20 million population thereabouts. So they have a declining population. They're baby boomers, retiring, dying off, etc., but they haven't got migration. Interesting from Australia's perspective. So they're big corporations there, and the Japanese banks are some of the biggest banks in the world, by the way. But one of the big corporations over there had a representative in my office, and he's saying, we want to invest in Australia and want to come down here because our business is in decline in Japan, and we need to find safe havens with growing population. And Australia is the number one for us. And it certainly is because our population growth is nearly double on a percentage rate of that of USA. So they've done their homework of the fundamentals. But here's the real key. Their interest rates, if you've got money on deposit in Japan, you'll get something with a 0%. 0%. Here, they can lend money at 4 or 5%. And that's why two of the biggest banks, Sony and Mitsubishi Bank, are doing their homework on doing cheap home loans here, where you can go online and get home loans. So see a lot of this starting to happen, but I often say booms and busts are fueled by the flow of money. So the GFC was a global financial crisis, and what happens was ran out of money. The banks ran out of money. That's all changing now. And be aware of this because these are the green shoots of this boom I continually talk about. And now we've seen the upturn of real estate prices predicated by cheaper money, 3-year fixed rates much lower, and now foreign banks and foreign money coming onto our shores. Stay tuned for this because I'm going to keep you updated on it, and it's so exciting. Thanks for listening to me.